and welcome back to Drum Key. This is the podcast where we talk about everything drums, drummers, and drum industries. And this is a first for us. If you guys are watching this, we got 4 people in the studio today, and we're really excited about it. And there's probably going to be some technical difficulties, which is a lot of fun.
But guess what? We have the techs on hand to help us out.
We do. we planned this perfectly.
Yeah.
We did. Today, our guests are... Our guest is Keller Pro Audio. Our guests are Keller Pro Audio. They are Keller Pro Audio. We've got Brett Keller and Zach Helsinger here in the podcast studio here at Drums Etc. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is another first for us. Not only do we have 4 people, but we have non-drummers.
This is true.
Non-drummers in the studio, which is pretty wild because we talk.
True.
This is a drummers podcast.
It sure is. Drums. But this is going to be totally relatable to any drummer that's listening and any any musician really, because we're going to go over a lot of cool things that these guys have found out over the years with miking drums and miking, getting good sound out of drums live and recording. So this is going to be for everyone. You don't need to be a drummer to get your information.
Yeah. And I've prepared all of my questions and complaints and all the beef that drummers have had over the years with you guys. So we're really going to just let it rip today. But of course, that goes both ways. So you guys get to complain about drummers or give suggestions, very polite suggestions on how they cannot be the worst to deal with. So that would be good.
They're not the worst.
No.
The Sousa players.
Those
are the ones you have to watch out
for. They're the ones causing trouble. For sure. Cool. Well, we've got some segments just to kind of shake the dust off here, get to know each other a little bit better. We're going to start with my favorite segment today, Crank It Up, Turn It Down. All right, so Crank It Up, Turn It Down. In this segment, I will pose a drummer habit or something that musicians do, and you get to say if you dig it, you crank it up. If you don't, you turn it down.
All right.
It's pretty simple.
All right.
If you really, really hate it, Shawn invented Crank It Down.
Crank it down.
We had Corey Rose on here that said Unplug It, which was even further than Turn It Off.
That's
it's
right.
Unplug It.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Unplug it.
Unplug it. So if you really hate it, or if you really love it, maybe we can do something besides crank it up. I don't know.
Crank it up to 11.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You could do that.
To 11. Classic Spinal Tap. But yeah, let me throw some things out there, and we'll all give our opinions. And I hope we disagree because I hope we have a tussle or a fight. We have yet to have fisticuffs thrown.
I can't fight
on the podcast. I'm not used to you being over here. I hear your voice and I look over there. It's really
are you hearing me?
Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, and they're sound guys. They probably love when people do that.
Don't you love that?
It works. Yep, that works.
Smack it.
You hear me, Zach?
What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Crank it up, turn it down using drum triggers. Triggering drums. Anybody want to jump on that one?
Wow.
I feel pretty neutral about it,
I'm
honestly.
neutral. Yeah.
If they're good samples, crank it up.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
they're bad samples,
If it's bad, cheap samples, no. Please
Yeah.
let me put a microphone
Yeah,
on
just
it. Turn
mic
it
it.
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just mic it.
I'd much rather take a bad acoustic drum over a bad sample drum.
Right.
Totally.
Have you been in situations where the drums sound so bad, you're like, man, if we just had that guy from the last set that had the trigger on there, it would have sounded better?
I just find the only guys that I deal with that have it are metal guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the only ones.
Big time. Especially bass drums. I've seen guys rock
Yeah.
bass drum triggers, and that'd be the only trigger they use, for sure.
Yeah, it's not super common. I say crank it up, go for it. Or wait, is that the right one?
Yeah.
Crank it up, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Crank it up.
Cranking it up.
Shawn?
I'm cranking it up too. I don't have experience personally using them, myself, but I could see myself wanting to trigger some.
You've sold them.
Yeah, I've sold them for sure. Yeah, and I think you're right. I know a lot of metal guys like triggering their bass drums and such, but I would do it to just trigger different electronic sounds like a tambourine or something like that, or
That's
get
true.
an 808 sound or something like that. But I've never done it personally. But I would, and I'd be open to it. I wouldn't. I don't think triggering the drums just to get a to get around tuning your drums is the way to go.
Right.
But to trigger it to make it sound like something completely different is totally rad, and I enjoy that. I like
Yeah,
it. So crank it
totally.
up.
I was just gonna say that. Now that I think about it more, definite crank it up because I feel like they're underutilized.
They really are.
Like,
Yeah.
why don't hip hop dudes use those?
Absolutely.
Big time.
You know, just
Why don't you get
different effects
808s and different
Right.
And
stuff?
it's funny because
man.
it's funny you say that because when they market this stuff to the shops to buy it,
Yeah.
they're like, "Look at this! This is perfect for hip hop." And we're like, "That's great. None of us play hip hop." But
Yeah.
like, we show it to those guys, and we're like,
It'd be so cool because
Yeah.
it would be way more interesting for like people that do track shows.
sure,
A lot of rappers do track shows where it's just like
Mhm.
a DJ and
yeah,
a wireless mic.
dude, the drummer kind of turns into a DJ if you get enough triggers on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
If
for real.
That'd be cool.
There are tons of samples where there are melodic samples too. So
Right.
the first time you hit it, it's here, and the second time here, there.
Yeah.
Like the programming is absolutely there to do that. That said, I'm turning it down.
After all that.
I am turning it down.
Dude, we were on such a roll.
I know.
Oh.
Listen, we gotta get.
Why'd
You
you
wanted
deflate it like
fisticuffs.
that?
He
I
just pulling them out early.
I think
Yeah.
the tech. I think the tech's cool. I think the tech is cool. But when I play music, I don't want to fuss with the tech. This is my opinion. I don't want to fuss with the tech. Even if you have a single trigger, you have a wire and a module and something that can break and fray and get lost. And
So you,
it's
maybe
fuss.
just
I don't like fuss.
you
I
could
told you I don't
probably-
like fuss.
replicate that sound more organically.
Yeah,
maybe
and if
like-
you see a guy on stage, freaking, I don't know. Obviously, if money was no object, you'd have a tambourine player with every,
Okay,
soul
let
band
me
ever.
pitch this to you. What
Okay,
about
He's convincing me now.
what about reinforcement? Because sometimes when you're doing recordings, you
Mhm.
don't want to replace the sound that you're working with. You want to reinforce it with something else and like add more character to it. So you could be in a position where you could use that live, where like
Right.
you're miking your drum, but then you've got this sample that you're triggering under it, and then with like a good engineer, they
Yeah.
will mix those in, and you get more like character out of something. It's
Yeah, for
more
sure.
originality out of it, you know. It's
Yeah.
more complexity.
Yeah, it is more complex and the fact that you can put whatever you want on there is awesome.
Yeah.
Just personally, I think it's more as fuss.
But you're still gonna turn it down.
I'm turning it down.
All right, that's your opinion.
Fair enough.
You see, this is what I
Fair
want.
enough.
I want a little bit of
Ex-
this, just a little bit of that. in
even
there.
really
if he
trying my
doesn't
best.
necessarily
I'm turning it
100%
I
believe
don't
what
think
he's
it's-
saying,
I'm not
you're
saying
doing
I
it
think
for
it's
argument's
stupid.
sake.
I'm not. No,
Of course
I'm
not.
not. I'm not just trying to be that guy.
Listen,
I'm
dude.
not saying that it doesn't have a place. I'm not saying it doesn't have a purpose. But overall, the idea of triggers, at the moment we stand with the technology and the application of them, we're not there yet. All right, gentlemen, crank it up, turn it down. Here we go. Virgin bass drums. Bass drums with no
What?
mounts. Bass drums with nothing drilled into them.
Okay.
There's a whole era of drums that are it's still happening. There are a lot of pro level drums that don't offer an option to mount toms on a bass drum. The concept and idea of this is because then that affects the sonic instrumentation and the rebound of those frequencies inside of a drum, right?
Right.
Okay.
No.
I
I
love this.
totally understand. Like
he's
this
like,
is
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
That's
super
the
sick.
idea.
We're
Yeah.
peeling back
Right.
the BS here. This is
That's
great.
the idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start this one off because I'm just gonna do this.
Yes.
I turn it down 1,000%. I crank it down. I unplug it. I turn it off.
Didn't expect that.
I didn't expect that
amount
either.
Of people, and we're drum nerds, right? And we
Yeah.
fuss with
Yeah.
tuning and this and that. The amount of people that fuss over the wrong things are endless.
Mm-hmm.
They're endless, right? And if you put a muffled head on your bass drum, or you put a pillow in it, or you tune it a certain way, you're immediately affecting the sound 1,000 times more than 4 screws or even one pipe coming down in the center of the drum is going to affect it. It's not practical.
I
It's
agree.
too sciencey.
Okay, from an engineering perspective,
Yeah.
I would go the Virgin kick drum
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want the additional resonance to get into my rack toms.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I like mounting the rack tom because it's less stands.
You do hate stands.
Yeah, because I gotta bob and weave cables through them.
Right.
Less things on the ground. Drum kits are already crowded enough with like trying to get a mic stand in there for your snare.
Yeah.
The
It's
more
another
like
thing.
that's another thing. If you can mount it on top of that kick drum,
Yeah, I'm going to crank it down too. I've
Oh,
sold.
you're saying like being on a stand, like by itself.
Yeah. So
You're saying like cradling a rack tom.
if it's not,
if it's not on the kick
What about
drum,
when they mount it to a sorry to
No, go ahead.
What about
I-
the crash?
Yeah.
What about the mounting it to a crash stand.
That's fine. However, I don't.
Yeah.
Just the less things on the floor, the better.
Yeah.
Is how I feel about it.
Totally. He
Right.
got me turned on to underheads. Like
okay.
put like mounting stuff off and like anything you can attach to the drum kit so that you don't have like microphone stands
Absolutely.
to just
We came in here and bought claws the one day.
we did. We bought LP claws and we
Right.
love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You can use them on so many things.
Dude, this guy was super nice too. Like, took the other one out for the kick drum for us,
True.
showed us how the kick drum one works.
It's true.
You know, I've been thinking about this. I do want that the adapter with the rough texture on it. I'm sorry to get off topic, but I want the rough texture
it's
one
all good.
Yeah,
No,
that's
yeah,
what we
bring it
do.
on.
because the inside of the LP claw is square, and
Yep.
the teeth would like just sit in there. The round one, like, I gotta really crank it to get it to stop spinning.
Yes.
So I think you might
Yeah,
have sold
there,
me on
there are
some-
those knurled.
yeah.
The knurled mic mounts are a lot easier to stay in place versus the ones that can spin.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. A lot of the LP stuff is a hexagon because of that, because they want a flat spot.
Yeah.
You know, rather
Yeah.
than round. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Squishing in
So
there.
I think
were
overall,
we talking
I'm
about?
turning it down. I'm turning it virgin bass drum, but I'm turning it down.
Turn it down.
Virgin bass
You're
drums.
cranking it up because you like the science, and it's. I'm not saying it's true.
'Cause I
if you
don't
do
like-
something to the drum, it affects
Yeah.
the drum. That's
Yeah,
factual.
for sure.
And my microphones are getting mounted to that. You know,
Right.
there's just another spot for my microphone to flop around, and then it just like you hear it.
Yeah.
You hear it like
Yeah. Hear it moving around.
it's weird.
So
Yeah.
I'm turning it down. You're cranking it up.
cranking it
I
down.
think
Turn it down.
You're turning it down, Shawn.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm turning it down for all the same reasons that you just said. You know, I don't see any real benefit of I would rather have my tom mounted off my bass drum than it resonating to its fullest capacity. When you have a pillow in there, you have a muffled head, you have good sound guys that can mic your drums up and make them sound good. You can't tell. You can't tell the difference between the two. Sonically, if you go into a laboratory, I guess you can there's a down tube in the bass drum or without, maybe.
Right.
But I don't think to the naked ear, if you're playing in a rock band or hip hop band or reggae, any kind of type of music, that you're going to hear those little nuances. So as a matter of convenience and everything else, I'd like to just mount it right off the bass drum. It's convenient. It's easy setup. You don't have to fuss with it. And I don't think, plus we have an EQ pad or a pillow in your
Sure.
bass drum to begin with. Yeah, cranking it down.
I just encouraged a guy the other day to. He prefers having his rack tom and a snare stand to the side just because he can get a little lower, right?
Yeah.
Cool. But he still has the mount on the bass drum. So I was like, take the boom out of your stand, that becomes your ride stand. And it's one less tripod on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And it cleaned everything up so much.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's
I get
nice to
down.
have the-
I like that when like the older kits had the cymbals mounted to the kick.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's cool.
I have
Yeah.
a drum
Goes
set set
against
up like
everything
that.
you just said about the bass drum.
No, but no. But I don't.
believe you,
But I
because
don't
you're
care. But I
Tom
don't care
move.
about
It just depends on the band.
Yeah, I don't care about
Right.
the cymbal like picking up resonance because
Yeah.
you got like the felt or those things you guys were
Sure.
showing us earlier. The
The little no nuts. Yeah.
no nuts.
Yeah. Those
Because that's just gonna, and then the cymbal can just sit there. Like cymbal, you have to like hit it to like make do something. But like a drum kit has like resonance where like even if you're not doing anything, your guitar player being too loud or your bass player being too loud,
Yeah, it
or even the
picks that
system
up.
being too loud, the whole drum kit is in your monitor wedge. Like it's your whole drum kit's shaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of that do you guys end up at shows like canceling out? How much of the like drum noise from other things happening? I know in the one band I play with, the piano mic picked up more bass than the bass was. Like it was insane. It was the wrong mic for the wrong application, but it was just like ridiculous to the point where like we're shaping this because of that. How much bleed do you guys have to deal with and cut out?
A lot.
A lot.
A ton. It just kind of depends on the size of the stage. Like a lot of the places we work at are like, they're not smaller stages, but they're not like big theater stages where people are very spread out.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of times you're just dealing with bleed.
Yeah.
Rock bands have like 5 singers.
5 vocals. That's
Oh, yeah.
gotta be the worst day.
I've definitely run
Well,
5 vocal shows many times.
with good,
Many
like
times.
if you choose your microphone,
Yeah.
that helps a lot.
It's
And
true.
then being able to like know your equipment, to like, how much processing can I get away with before it starts to sound artificial.
Right, right. And how much you guys get hired to do all sorts of different things. We can get to this more later. But how much of the equipment do you guys bring to the show versus what's at
It depends.
the system?
It-
Like, do you bring a case of mics everywhere you go?
Yeah,
I do.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we travel with our own stuff, and like it's good that places offer their own microphones, but there is a time when we're like, we need this microphone for this application because like your bass is too close to your piano. It's like, okay, well that's cool. We have a microphone that will just cancel that out.
Right.
You know? Or we have something really intricate, and now we have to use like condensers or something. Mm-hmm. Like a house is not gonna offer you that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You're dealing with whatever they have that's been left there, not stolen, right?
Mm-hmm. Stage plots and input lists are never the way they appear to be.
No.
There's always something that's gone or added.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Every time.
It's got to change, or something gets fried out, or something's different now than it was when they labeled it.
It worked yesterday.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It always worked yesterday.
Bring in those, all of your mics. Do you guys have them labeled so that way you know for sure so they don't get mixed up or anything else like that?
The ones I have like kind of look a little different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So like a lot of venues don't have. I have like a lot of the SE mics.
Okay.
So a lot of venues don't have those, but I just do like little labels on them or something.
Yeah.
On like my
I would
58s, have like purple tape.
I would think, just a little bit so you know that one's definitely yours.
Yeah,
so.
Nothing too obnoxious because then I hate like neon tape or something on stage. You gotta look at that the whole time.
Distracted by it.
We used to sell windscreens, and it was like a rainbow pack, and it was like red, orange, blue. It was like the most obnoxious thing ever. And
somebody's using it. Like there's definitely a mark. Like someone's
sold a
like,
lot
that's
of
mine.
those.
I'm buying that.
Yeah, like we sold a lot of those.
I've never seen
windscreens. Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I've only been in one situation where it was an outdoor festival thing, and there was just so much wind and so much.
Yeah.
But how much is this gonna do?
Inside?
About that much.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
about that much.
check. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, this is good ASMR.
Oh, yeah,
I want to do it.
A little bit of that. All right, one more. Crank it up, turn it down here. This one could go either way, because it's about gear a little bit more.
All right.
Crank it up, turn it down. Ping rides.
Oh. Are you talking about the small one?
No, we're talking about a ride cymbal, the biggest cymbal there, but ones that don't have much wash to them, and you get that real loud, distinct, clear like bell and tone to it. If you crash it, it sounds like a horrible gong has been dropped.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Ping rides, right? It's the opposite of basically a ride that sounds like a big crash cymbal.
Is it big and heavy, or
Yes.
is it?
Real
Oh,
thick.
okay. That's like the scariest thing, being in front of house and starting to see that thing pick up momentum and start to sway.
Knock your mics over and stuff.
Not just that, but just like how loud it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ping rides are generally loud. You hear every stick definition.
Yeah, every
Just
stroke.
Yeah, every stroke.
It's
ding,
cool,
ding, ding, ding,
like a soft drum. It's cool, like he's like playing on like the tip of the stick.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
That's a cool
I
effect,
feel
but
like I don't come across
dude,
those
they
a
like
lot.
lay into it like a crash cymbal.
Yeah, that's when it
It's
gets
like-
crazy.
That's
Are
when it
those
gets
pretty
crazy.
common? Do a lot of people have those? I feel like I've not really noticed this a lot.
You know something? It was they're not as popular anymore.
Gotcha.
Ping rides used to be real popular in the 90s,
Gotcha.
80s, 90s, into the 2000s. And now, darker cymbals became the more vogue thing. So,
Yeah.
and something like that I do, or I like a ride cymbal that I can also crash on because it's only have to bring one crash. I could also crash on my. I like versatility and less is more type thing. But I will crank it up because sometimes you do need a heavy ride, and if you are playing real defined things, like if you're playing like some math rock stuff, maybe you really want some real definition where you can hear every single stroke. So ping rides are pretty cool. I'm not using one right now because I'm trying to get more out of less. So I like a good versatile ride cymbal, but I'll crank it up. I think they're good.
All right. You guys have any thoughts?
I'm cranking
Crank
it
it
up
up.
too
Yeah, I'll crank it up.
because
Sold me. Sounds good.
like
I'm pretty indifferent. I'm down.
I'm cranking it up because I really like hi-hat and ride, like in my overheads.
Yeah.
The crash is kind of getting everything, no
Yeah.
matter where I put my mics. But I do like additional definition out of my ride and my hi-hat live. Yeah, so I'm cranking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a good drummer and you're like, dude, this ride sounds cool, I want a mic on it, I'm all for it.
Right. Turn it down. I hate
You just want the
It's the worst.
You just want the controversy.
I don't need I
Button
truly don't
for
need. I thought I was gonna be like.
controversy.
I thought the sound guys were gonna hate these ringy, bright cymbals, but apparently they're okay with them. I don't know. Because
As
there's a ring to a ping ride. I should say it's like it's defined sound that cuts through.
If it's
but
your
there's also a
artistic
ring.
direction, it's my job to make it louder.
Right. These
I'm
are
not
the
here-
nicest sound guys
know, right?
ever.
I'm not your producer.
Yeah, I
Fair.
can't. I'm not going
I'm
to
not
tell
here
you.
to do your
Yeah, I'm not going
band,
to tell you
I
what
guess
to
you're right.
bring.
All right.
I just
What
have
you
to
bring.
work with what you bring.
If you
That's
can
it.
play it, I'll mic it up.
Yeah.
You better be able to play it though.
You better be able to play it. That's the name of the game. All right, we're gonna move forward.
It better make.
We're gonna.
This better be a game changer, make
Yeah.
some type of difference. If you tell me to mic this thing up, and it's like,
Yeah.
why'd you tell me to do that?
Yeah, you
Like,
hit it once, dude. You
Yeah.
hit it once this whole show.
That's how I feel about drummer vocal mics. You guys ask for them and you don't use them. You just make jokes. It's not funny. I have to process that.
All right.
Can I give you guys a crank it up, turn it down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
More than one rack tom,
Cranking it down, turning it down.
my dude.
Yep, turning it down.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it down. I was on the fence just because I'm down for more sound sources usually, but if I were to add a tom to a 4-piece kit, it would be another floor tom. It wouldn't be another rack tom.
Yeah.
Or
thinking.
it would
Cranking it
just it's like, okay, if you're going to add another sound source, you already have 2 toms. Like you
Right.
can do everything
Yep.
on a 4-piece drum set. I've played a 4-piece drum set for almost my whole drumming career now. It just went from one day going into drum lessons as a teenager, and my drum teacher removed his one tom and his ride was there, and it looked weird to me. I never really thought too much about it.
Sound
He
guy's
goes,
getting mad at you.
"Oh yeah," he said. I said, "Why did you take that tom away?" He said, "I would rather have my ride cymbal there. It's more comfortable than that tom. I can double up on the toms and,
Yeah.
and get away with it." He
Yeah.
said, "When you get home, take your tom away and see
Comfortable.
how you like it." And I took it away, and I never looked back.
Nice.
I've always
Yeah.
played a 4-piece kit ever since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 4-piece kit's where it's at.
Nice.
It's always more impressive to watch a drummer that can make more with less, like you're kind of saying, get more out of less of an instrument. And I think it's also as a drummer, playing a 4-piece kit is like driving a sports car. It's not big, it's not clunky, it's not a rack, it's not 200 cymbals. This is what I need to get this job done, and I'm going to do it with some finesse and make the show go on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's, aesthetically it's awesome. As a drummer, it's really comfortable, especially when you remove that second rack tom. To have your ride in there, that's huge. Just bringing that down for your shoulder ergonomically.
Right
But,
on. Right on.
But yeah, and I don't play anything complicated enough to justify bringing more drums than I need to.
That too.
Yeah.
That too.
Good.
All right, any more additions to crank up, turn it down?
No, sorry. I was
I'm
just
cranking
curious.
that one up just because it's less for everybody.
Easier.
Changeovers
Simplicity.
faster between bands.
Oh, big time.
Or like, no one's ever going to complain about having a 4-piece. They're not going to say that, I'm used. Well, okay, maybe sometimes somebody might say, I'm used to playing a bigger kit. But they will get it done. A good
Yeah.
drummer will get it done.
Right.
But like a guy that
Yeah.
comes in with like a 10-piece kit, someone that just wants a 4-piece is going to be like,
Yeah.
the ergonomics are thrown off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bummer. It's
Yeah.
definitely a bummer.
The ergonomics of miking that is a pain sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
These dudes will like run their cymbals like mad close to the toms, and it's like, well, there's no room for the mics.
Do you ever run out of mics? Have you ever done that?
Totally.
Yeah.
I've run out of inputs too.
Well, just even
Like,
actually,
which one do you like the least?
Yeah.
Which tom
I'm
don't
like,
you really play that
this
much?
guy has a guitar and a vocal. He gets 2 inputs.
Yeah.
You are up to like 12.
Yeah.
And you're one
It's like,
person.
you're one person. We're gonna start with a bass of probably what,
Yeah.
7?
yeah.
Yeah.
Kick in, kick out,
6,
snare top,
6,
snare
7.
bottom, rack, floor, ride, hi-hat,
Second-
overhead.
second floor.
I'm at 10.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
a-
haven't even got to like doing
Yeah.
anything creative.
Right.
Like
That's
if
just
I
bare
want to run
minimum.
like the crotch, the crotch mic, the knee mic,
Yeah.
or like side snare, or or like a special request where they're like,
Miking
"Ooh."
my drum throne. Has anyone ever
Oh.
asked you to mic their drum throne?
No.
No, but I have used the haptic system before.
What's that?
I have used a haptic system before. It's like it's a subwoofer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
but it's
butt
like
shaker
in,
thing.
it's a
Yeah.
butt it's a
yeah,
butt
yeah.
shaker
Yep.
in your
The
throne.
butt thumper
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We sold
Yes.
those.
Oh, we set one of those off one time by accident because it literally made the throne like jump off the riser, like because we didn't know that it had its
Yeah.
own power
Oh,
amp,
dude.
and so I just sent it on the fader. I watched that thing jump off and land on the deck. I was like, oh my god!
It's wild.
That's
I
amazing.
felt bad because it's not mine, but I had no idea what that
Yeah.
power that thing had.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
crazy. It's absurd. Those were invented by like the same guys who thought it was funny to like put an airbag under a couch cushion. You see those videos of people
No.
flying. They're the same guys. That is a redneck invention. The throne thumper was a redneck invention, okay? For sure. All right, we're going to move on. This actually transitions pretty well. We're going to move on to drum industry news and dive into the sound check a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, this is drum industry news. This is where we talk about facets of the drum industry, typically that folks don't know much about. But we've got some sound guys here, so we're going to talk about a very big thing that we all deal with. We all go through a process called the Soundcheck that happens before shows. So, without prompting you guys at all, keeping drummers in mind, it's time for Soundcheck. What needs to happen before? What do you like? What do you not like about a drummer being there? What's the process for you guys?
It's nice when the drummer's there first,
Yes.
because I could.
Totally.
You generally will start with drums at a sound check.
Sure.
Sometimes you'll do it a different way if people have different methods. But so he can just if you get the drum sound checked, half your inputs are done. By the time everybody else gets there, it's super nice. Correct input list is cool. That's
Yeah.
always a plus.
Getting the advance from a band and it just says drums goes through me like a hot knife and butter.
Wow, that's interesting because
Why-
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Well, back
but-
to our previous
yeah.
conversation, it's like, are you bringing 2 toms or 10 toms?
Right.
Do you have
Yeah.
multiple crash cymbals? Do you have a ride that you really like that you want me to mic up? Do you want a hi-hat mic because you run in-ears?
Backing
and
tracks.
You don't even
Do you
want...
have tracks? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have backing tracks? Yeah, exactly.
All of
Do you
that.
run in-ears and the rest of your band doesn't, and you need a line for
Do
in-ears
you need
separately?
in-ears and a wedge? Some guys like that.
Yeah.
Right, both.
Are you traveling with some crazy haptic system that
Yeah.
makes your throne jump off the stage? I need to know that.
Yeah, because we got
Good
to
You
power.
know-
No
just put
surprises.
drums.
We
No
gotta put a power
surprises.
and a beanbag
Please,
back
less
there.
surprises.
So we want the drums set up first, and then okay, boom, drums are set up, and then you'll kind of run up and then mic the drums after that, right? To kind of
Yeah.
get around okay, he's set up, he's ready to go, and then you mic the drums accordingly, and then we'll
Sure.
do sound check, and it's usually bass is usually first, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of want the drummer to hit the drums like he's going to be hitting it live, as
Totally.
really,
Yeah.
right?
Ideally.
Ideally.
Yeah.
So we go through that. So it's funny too because I think about when I'm doing sound check, force of habit, I usually bury the beater, just boom. But I know sonically, and I've been conscious of this the past few times. I'm maybe I should
Lay
back
off a little
so
bit. Yeah.
you can dial in the proper tone, because when I'm burying the beater, you're just getting that attack, and then immediately I'm muffling it.
Yeah.
So that I have to
How do you play though? How do you play?
I play
You switch it
usually
up.
burying the beater
Okay.
typically.
Well, yeah, just do that.
I should just yeah, that's what I'm asking.
makes sense.
Should, I
I've,
really should
uh,
just do
Practice
that.
like you play and play like
Right.
you
There you
practice
go.
is what they say. In
I was
sports.
taught to do it that way, kick drum, snare drum, rack, floor, whole kit.
Yeah,
But sometimes I like to have fun at soundcheck, and I'll ask the drummer just to play.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a fun one too. Sometimes
I
if you
was-
have time.
I was gonna ask you that because those are always the best sound checks. Not because I get a chance to play. I don't care. I'm about to play for hours or whatever the show
Yeah.
calls for. But sitting there and just stomping, it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes a long time. There's another reason why you don't have 10 drums. You don't have to be doing this to every
Yeah,
every
oh,
show.
God, can you imagine?
Sound check takes a lot
Totally.
longer.
There's
But
a
yeah,
lot of things we have to check.
Right.
Yeah.
We have
Drums.
We have preamp gain, polarity,
Yeah.
filtering, all the EQ work. If we want to do any gating, any compression, and then getting it to an effects bus so you can have cool reverbs and stuff like that on hand.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, you
anything
guys
else.
are doing a lot. It is. I think there needs to be some sort. Maybe this is a drums etc. invention we can come up with. Something that a drummer can do while sound checking. I don't know if it's
Give
like
them
one
a
of those
fidget toy.
one of those puzzles that there's something
Yeah.
trapped inside of, or like a Rubik's cube or
La-
whatever.
yeah.
But there
maybe
needs to be
a
something.
laser pointer.
Yeah, something to help the drummer. That seems, I don't know about that. Something to help the drummer be patient, because it is tough.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
get a second iPad, and when you guys are up there, I'll just hand it to you, and I'll have
Yeah.
little videos
Do you-
on there you can
That's
watch.
what I'm saying.
It'll-
There's-
Do you
gotta
get
be
that?
something.
The,
Yeah.
the guy that just won't stop playing, the drummer that just won't freaking
Yeah.
stop. Just like,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't mind if you're playing, but
Yeah.
don't play when my head is near
Yeah,
your snare
that's
drum.
what I was
You
gonna
know
say.
how loud your
Don't
snare
play
drum is.
while someone's miking your drum kit.
Please.
Oh my!
Don't do
Yeah,
that.
Putting a
dude,
mic
if
on
I,
the snare and
if-
someone's
I
cranking
didn't
that
do that
thing.
to you, did I?
No.
If I did, I apologize.
No.
I didn't
Guitar
do. I
players
totally would be
do.
aware of
he's
that.
He's like, uh-oh.
Uh oh. Yeah.
People do.
No, I try to stress to people I'm a player too,
Dude.
I'm just asking you not to damage my hearing,
Right.
Because I need this for a job.
Yeah.
Also, what I wanted to ask you is when you do, when you say play the whole kit, ideally, you know, it shouldn't be just a chop fest here, just and playing all this kind of stuff. Like
groove,
you,
right?
it should be a groove, and then around the toms, and just play everything kind of. Ideally, what's the best way a drummer should like do the whole set, where you can kind of EQ it all and get all those nuances that you need to.
Just like play a Reader's Digest version of like a song that you're gonna play. You
Nice.
know, like do like the beat and then do like a fill and then a short beat and then a fill. Like just trying to play the whole kit that you're going to use. You know, I don't care how big it is, but like hit everything.
Right.
Because I want to hear it in context.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and just play whatever like you're gonna play.
Yep.
Just do it however you're gonna do it, because there's no sense setting
Right.
it for the way you're not gonna do it.
Right.
And then showtime comes and we're gonna adjust all of it on the fly anyway. It's like just do
Yep.
it how you're gonna do it, because a lot of times in soundcheck, if I have the time and the band is like not tired of soundcheck yet, I'll be like, can you just play whatever song you're gonna start with?
Yeah.
Because if I have that dialed, I save the scene. When they come up, their first song is already ready.
That's a
You know
good
what I
idea.
mean?
Yeah.
If you have the time and like if they want to, but
Right.
that's like a good sound check tip. So your first song comes out
Yeah.
good for the crowd.
Right. I deal with this depending on where I'm playing. We've been playing a lot of places where there's already stuff happening, like some sort of like festival or some sort of event where there's people already in the room when we're sound checking, right? Like switchovers
Right on.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it's like we don't necessarily want to launch to a song. So we have a list of songs that we'll play for a sound check, but that's probably not that's not a good thing to do.
No, actually, that I like that personally.
You do?
I
Okay,
think it's
so you don't switch
awkward
it up?
when
Yeah.
I'm in that position and I have to have a band play the song that they're gonna play.
Right.
I'm like, well, this blows.
Right. Yeah, you want to play something that's like
Yeah.
sonically close to some other stuff, but you don't want to play the same song and then just be like, and then stop abruptly and then be like,
Yeah.
we'll be back in 5 minutes to play the rest of that song.
Right. That's so awkward. No, that's a cool
Yeah.
idea. If you had something that's like in the genre or in the vein of what you're going for, and it's not a song that's in the set, sick. Because I think about that when I do background music. Brett was like very adamant on this when I moved here. He was like, "Don't make your background music better than what the show is gonna be.
Yeah.
You're not a DJ. It's not your job to like hype up the crowd, and also, don't play a song that the band is gonna potentially cover.
Good point.
Or play.
Great idea.
I've had that happen to my band twice now. And like they're playing like, okay, we're playing late 90s, early 2000s, and they're playing the same thing. Like we were about to go on, and they're playing Sublime, and we were literally just about ready to play it. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, they're playing freaking Sublime. What I got? I'm like, I like it better. Like I've seen bands play, especially like metal bands, and we were talking about the Melvins. You saw Brandy wearing that Melvins T-shirt, and it's like, oh, they're coming back or whatever else, you know. Maybe I should be saying that, but anyway. So
What are you in with the Melvins?
well, no,
Like,
he
give
said
insider
he
information.
he did mention it. This isn't going out just yet, but he mentioned he's
I
like,
see.
hey, they might be
Oh,
coming
it's okay.
back,
We
you know,
have
whatever.
we have editing software.
Yeah,
No
we
one
do.
watches. No one watches.
Believe it
this
or not. Yeah,
podcast.
no one watches it. Don't worry.
watches this podcast.
Anyway, so this was last year. I'd seen him a few times. I saw him down at
Right.
Virginia Beach, and they're playing jazz. And
Before
I thought it was
Melvins.
such a nice.
Yeah.
It was awesome because when they come out, they're like it just is so impactful. They're not playing Pantera. They're not playing freaking Corrosion of Conformity.
You're
They're not
exhausted
playing
by the time
like,
they get up there.
Yeah, it's like they're playing this light jazz and everything. And I thought that's freaking cool. Play something kind of different than what
Completely
they're
different.
about
Sure.
to play. Don't play the same stuff or something similar. Just I thought that was a nice touch, and I wanted to steal it. I like to borrow with taste or
All
steal.
right, the
things.
next time I work a metal show, my walk-off music's gonna be Tiny Tim.
There you go.
That'd be wild. I do always ask the bands though. I do. That's another one at the end of soundcheck. I'm like, what music do you guys want before you go on? Like
That's it. Yeah, that's great.
because like I'm like I have Spotify. If you have your own playlist, send it to me. If you have like an artist radio station you like or something like
Yeah.
because if it's been like I've seen it happen a lot where it's like late night sets and you playing house music and it's like bangers. Stuff everyone
Right.
loves, they know all the words.
Right.
It turns off and some band comes on and they're all like, "Oh."
right.
And you're like, "That sucks."
Yeah,
that's
that's
hor-
a bad feeling.
the band's like now they're bummed they didn't even start yet.
Yeah.
It's just like it doesn't
Right.
Oh, yeah.
it's the show, you know?
Do you ever have anyone ask you guys to play like walk-on music or like warm-up music?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
I
that
want
is
to.
cool.
I want to have something like that too. Like
like
the Ghostbusters theme, like going not like Ghostbusters, but like the
No,
score,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
the piano thing from the first
I,
music.
I love Brett's story about
you know?
the time when he got Charles Wesley Godwin's walk-on music to play, because we were having trouble with it. I don't remember what it was.
he like played 2 nights, and they asked me for a walk-on song,
Yeah.
and something happened with like the Wi-Fi where like Spotify wouldn't play it. It was
Oh
like
yeah, it was locked
and I was
up.
like, oh my
Yeah.
god! But I had like songs on a
Yeah.
drive
Okay.
that was just like downloaded, so I just played some song.
Something. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, that's horrible. I feel so dumb. But this was on the first night of their 2 nights.
Yeah.
So on the second night, when I went home that night, I downloaded that song.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I
So
went
you
back
had
the
it.
next day and I didn't say anything. And I just played that right before they went on. And Zach, I guess you were backstage maybe.
No, I was standing next to you, and I looked through the stage, through the curtain, and they're standing in a huddle. And when that song hit, you just see them stop moving, and then just.
It's just like
great.
you got to kind of
They
like.
were so stoked.
I
just
feel like
thought-
I'm in the band for the day.
Yes.
And so like it's good to kind of build a camaraderie or like
Of course.
get to know what they're going for. Because
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like the best I can do is capture what they're doing. I'm not trying to like put my sound on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, of course.
I'm not your producer. Like again, I'm just
No,
the
but
sound
you are
guy.
like you kind of join up the team. You know what I mean? You're part of the team for the night. Like you said,
Yeah.
that's a good way of saying it. You're part of the band for the night
Yeah.
because it's just like any. I've heard horror stories of sound guys and bands, and I don't understand
Yeah.
why any of it happens. But there's just
Yeah.
times where it's just like, and then the sound guy did this and made a sound, and then the band was like this, so I showed them, and I'm like, why? Like
Right.
we're both trying to have the
Yeah.
best show possible, and
Yeah.
it's gonna reflect on both of you how it goes.
I'm
Yeah.
continuously puzzled by this when
It doesn't make any
road dogs
sense.
are coming in
It's a
and
tough
telling
one.
us like horror stories. I'm like, how
Oh, you
is
probably
it
hear them all. being
I
like,
hear
Oh,
so
yeah.
many.
You're a great sound guy. Let me tell you about the worst sound guy.
That's always
yeah.
what it is. But
I've heard
like,
a bunch.
how are there so many stories about people all across the world who are having these terrible experiences with people who are taking arguably one of the best jobs in the world, and making it insufferable?
right.
That's
Yeah.
so weird to me. I mean, I've been on the other side of that. Like I've worked for bands that have gone in and been with terrible sound guys. And looking back on that now, I'm like, I would never carry myself in that manner or act like that.
Have you ever dealt with like a really egotistical person in a band? Because I can see how like someone in a band that has an ego, or like they're just having a bad day and they're just
Sure.
gonna take it out on you. Like
Yeah.
they don't have enough guitar in their mix, and no matter what you do,
Yeah.
it's just like, well, clearly we don't know what's happening here. The sound guy blows, and I've seen, you see that, like,
Yeah.
and Axl Rose will say that, like, and just
Oh, yeah.
totally call out the sound guy in front of like everyone.
Yeah. That's
Has that ever happened? Anything like quite like that?
every once in a while. Usually, if it does, it's like in Soundcheck or something.
Okay.
Usually, if
Someone
they're
with
acting like
an
that,
attitude.
By
yeah, it's always
showtime,
it's
yeah.
always an older act.
Yeah. Okay.
It seems. But yeah, by showtime, usually they've been doing it long enough. They know, like, come on, just do the show.
Yeah.
And they know there's plenty in that monitor.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
They-
yeah.
They know there's
We're all
plenty in
aware.
there.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
got to
exactly.
be.
Now, I do have to say, because we're talking sound checks and things, have you ever pretended to turn a slider up?
No.
Oh.
No.
No.
Okay.
Have
So
you
it's a
ever
myth.
have
So
you
this
ever
is a myth.
pretended to turn a slider down?
However, I have.
This is a myth.
There are some theories about like psychoacoustics,
Yes.
and so like brighter music is perceivably faster, even though there's no change in BPM, and a dollar sound will sound slower. It's a weird acoustic phenomenon that happens, but sometimes when like a person is like maybe not where they need to be, like in the pocket, you can add a little bit of EQ boost to like make something brighter, and like in their mind they'll just be like, yeah, there it is.
Wow.
It just like clicks with them. So like people have asked me before, like, please give me more in my wedge, but instead I'll reach for the EQ
right.
and I'll make it more tangible, like more
Yeah.
add some clarity for them, and then they're like, oh, you did great.
Yeah,
it's exactly
they
what
think
I
they
wanted.
want it louder, but you're just add new
Right.
clarity.
They just
and
got a
make
muddy
it-
mix.
Yeah, gotcha.
It also helps too with the technology we have available to us currently in 2024. Like, there's no reason to run monitors from front of house. Like, you can get a tablet at Best Buy for $100 and a $25 router from Walmart, and you can go on stage with the band and stand there. And when the drummer says, "This sounds like shit," you can go, "It does. You're right."
Yeah.
And
you
fix
go up there
it.
and fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
I know.
That's cool. So I'm hiring these sound guys to follow me around
That's
for
what we
every
do.
show.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
That's what we do. You just request us for
Yeah.
your show, and
Dude,
if we're
yeah.
available, then we'll be there.
That's it.
For
Oh,
sure.
we'll get to that. The whole
We
C
won't
block
segment
of this entire podcast
Just one big advertisement.
is just
no.
exactly. We're gonna bring
Oh,
in.
no.
We have celebrity guests that are gonna show
Oh,
up.
God.
Are we gonna
no.
get an invoice for this?
Well, before, yeah, of course. That's why we trick people into being on our show. We'd be like, before Keller Pro Audio, I felt like this. Nah. And after, I feel great.
Oh man, we should make one of those.
Yeah.
That's actually hilarious.
Like a bad infomercial one where they're like juggling Tupperware.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be
This.
black
Yeah.
and white.
Yeah,
Oh,
black and
man.
white.
Yeah,
And then,
I
they're all,
remember
and then
that.
they're all happy and hugging and
In
Yeah.
color.
eating cake and in
Yeah.
color.
black and white, sad guitar player, drummer,
Yeah.
like in their mix. Oh,
Aw.
Yeah. Done.
Awesome. Before that, we have a couple more segments here. Let's pop into Hall of Fame. Interesting.
Yeah.
except they're.
Go ahead, say it.
I was gonna say, it is like a game show, except we're all winners.
Oh.
oh yeah.
There,
not
there
right.
are no losers here.
I thought you were gonna say
I
there
look
are no
forward to my
prizes,
trophy.
but there are prizes.
There are prizes.
You guys get drum key mugs.
Hey, yeah.
This is
Big
where
win.
we'd advertise
I
if
love
we sold
drinking
them, but we don't sell them. You have to
coffee
be on
at
the
home.
show. So if you want,
Thank you.
you too want to get a drum key mug like these gentlemen,
Yeah.
you have to be on our show. Be a guest.
Yeah. You don't even have to drum.
No, you don't. Clearly, they're
Clearly.
proving that. And you can take over the couch. You can take over the couch. Just like
It's
I
a
make
nice
Shawn sit on
couch.
a stupid chair over here, rubbing elbows. with me.
very, very.
I keep putting my
very
elbow on
comfortable.
this, and you keep knocking it off.
Do I?
Yeah, you've done
Sorry.
3
Oh.
See,
Oh shoot!
You
Just
can also
like that.
bring a friend as of now because
you can bring a friend.
you can bring a
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, we're gonna fill this whole place. Someone suggested a round table the other day to us, and we're like, round table? How are we gonna mic that? You know, I'm just like, I have like a meeting speakerphone mic. We could just put that in the middle, but that quality.
Oh, we're sound guys.
Yeah,
we
look at
can,
me,
we
I'm-
can find you a solution.
I'm like,
I
yeah,
have an
exactly.
SM58 in my hand here.
Hey.
Just put it on a stand.
And it sounds
I know.
great. It
Yeah,
sounds
does it
exactly
sound
like
pretty
an
good?
SM58.
Sure does.
It sounds exactly.
Is this
like
your
we
vocal
expect.
Michael choice?
Not anymore. He's on anymore.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
SE.
yeah,
well.
that's yeah,
Yeah, I like the V7s.
I like the
but
V7s
they're-
too.
Nice.
Yeah, they're great hammers.
nice. Yep.
You're right. You're right. And that's why we sell the grill screens because they're gonna get dented.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
That's why we sell them downstairs.
Okay,
they're
so
awesome.
I actually had an instance where I bought an aftermarket 58 grill,
Yeah.
and it was not Shure branded.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking; it couldn't withstand anything. It was
Did it just,
so
like, crumble?
subpar. Like,
Did the threads
Yeah.
match up?
huh?
Did the threads match up?
Not really. No. I
That's
mean, it
always the
got
problem
in
I
there.
have is
Don't
the
get me
threads
wrong.
don't match up.
It got pretty close, but like, it was just not acceptable.
Sounds like you bought
Like-
a BS 58.
I did.
That's the-
I did. I got BS'd.
Yeah.
I admit that. So
The
All right.
True.
buy
Tried
what
and
the
true.
manufacturer
Yeah,
recommends.
exactly.
All
Buy,
right.
buy the. Come on, get yourself something nice. It's only $100 microphone.
come on.
Treat
now.
yourself.
Come
Get
on
one.
now. That's
Get
not
one.
even treating yourself. That's bare minimum.
You'll have it forever.
Exactly.
Do you in drum world? Do you
yes.
guys deal with like a lot of like waste? Not just drum
Meaning
heads.
what?
Drum heads, I think, are waste. I see that happen a lot.
Yeah.
We're having to throw away a lot of drum heads. You know, when we rehead drums, and we're like, you know, you toss it, and by the end of the week, we have a pile of drum heads we take down to the dumpster. And I'm always
heads
thinking
and
like,
sticks are
Yeah.
like the two breakables, right?
right.
Yeah.
See those happen a lot. But we personally, us here, we get a lot of. We have a whole display of broken cymbals downstairs too.
I've been
But-
collecting them because I don't want to just throw them
Yeah.
away or scrap
Yeah.
them. I'm like, at some point we'll have like a cool art something or other,
Yeah.
and we'll just
Yeah.
put a bunch of busted cymbals.
Make a cool stack.
Right.
Oh, dude, you can make the craziest stack. 400 cymbals just goes. That's the sound you're looking
Yep.
for, right?
Yeah.
And it only weighs 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And that stand will buckle.
Yeah, you could probably replicate the sounds that people are buying. Like you get a K Custom stack or a Meinl
Yep.
Byzant stack. You
Big
put
time.
two broken cymbals together and it sounds just the same.
You get your drum triggers and get one.
Exactly.
Nicest cymbal in the
Hey.
world.
Drum triggers, get thrown out of here. turning down the drum triggers again. All right, so Hall of Fame. This is when we talk about gear. We're talking about gear and getting the right thing for the job.
Oh, shoot.
And so here we're going to be talking today about something that applies to what you guys do a little bit. We're going to be talking about specifically the bass drum and miking the bass drum. And so the inductee into the Hall of Fame is the kick port. Okay? The inductee is the kick port. Adjacent to the kick port is the bass drum O, which is just a plastic piece to cut the hole so it doesn't rip on you, basically. And then you have the classic O-ring that is included with a lot of heads at bare minimum to cut the hole if it doesn't have a hole already cut in it. But have you run across kick ports in the wild? You've certainly run across a lot of bass drums that are ported.
Yeah.
Before we get into the sonic differences between these guys and get nerdy on the drum side of things here, let's talk about miking a bass drum. Where do you guys prefer the mic or multiple mics? Where do you put them? How do you mount them? All sorts of things like that. Because we know some drummers that like to have a head completely closed, and we know other drummers like Shawn who have shown up to a gig and had to take scissors and cut a hole because the sound guy refused to mic the bass drum without having a hole in it. Crazy stories. So, miking bass drums, what are your thoughts?
I definitely like any kind of hole in the kick drum is awesome because I do like to put a kick-in mic in there. One of those flat like PCMs. I use the BL8. It's another SE mic. It's kind of like the 91 that Shure makes, but it's a little bit rounder sounding.
Do you
mean
put
by
anything
rounder?
in there to set it on?
Yeah, if they don't have anything in there, I'll just ask if I can put like a bar towel or just like anything so it doesn't bang around.
Right.
You know, but a lot of times they sit pretty still. So I like to have that and then just like a kick out mic, like a 52 or like a V kick or something. Even just like, it depends on the band too. Like you get different sounds out of both of those. So you can either blend them or you can have one or the other. If you want something a little bit more subby,
Gives
you
you
can like,
options.
you can kind of create a new kick drum sound per song by just blending the two, which is pretty cool. So two kick drum mics.
Right.
So when
Ideally.
you mic the two, is it front and back? Is that how you do it? Because it sounds like you're a big fan of
Inside and front. You say.
yeah, doing the toms the same way, like the top and bottom. Is it the same way for the kick drum?
I'll like just mic the top of the toms, like the top
Okay.
head. I don't do the bottoms.
Oh,
but,
okay.
He was talking about mounting stuff to the rims and stuff.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Using them as places to mount stuff.
But no, it's just like a square mic. It's a condenser you can put inside, just lay it on the inside of the kick drum.
Yeah, it goes in
Yeah,
on the
you
bottom.
had that mic, and that's
Yeah.
what we went. And I think you were first using that, and I don't know if you settled on it, but there was a little bit of an issue.
It was we had a bad XLR female, and it was
That
moving
was
around
it.
in there, and
Clicking.
so like he was kicking. We were doing sound check, and it was just like spiking and gain and slapping around and stuff, and I was like,
That one will
just
hurt you.
yeah, I was like, just hold on, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go up there and fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's because like you guys probably know what we're talking about. Like when you mix a kick drum that has a lot of low end, but also has that like really clicky attack.
Yes.
It's not appropriate for all genres.
Right.
But it definitely doesn't sound right when you just have the big kick out mic and you're just EQing it. It's not the
You don't
same.
get the attack.
Because your perspective
Yeah.
being behind your drum kit is like you're hearing the beater slap.
Yes.
So us putting a microphone inside of a kick drum already is not giving you the same perspective, but it's close.
Right.
And we get a lot of isolation in there
Right.
because it's all by itself.
Yeah. Not totally.
So like in a studio, you might mic it up differently. You might have like
Right.
a microphone outside the
Yeah.
kick drum on the beater,
Right.
but live, there's guitar amps, there's
Oh, it's-
pianos,
yeah,
there's
it's-
vocals,
There's a lot of bleed
there's a lot of bleed.
Also-
in that drum.
Kick drum mics on the outside get kicked a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Lead singers
You are
backing up
absolutely-
and kicking those
destroyed.
things.
Oh,
You always will have one in there
Or
that
it
just
rolls
like you
out.
can bring that in if you get your mic kicked in, it moves.
You don't
or
have it
something.
quite tight enough; it'll literally just rotate out, and then
Right.
you're left
Yeah.
with nothing. And
Right.
You got to run up there and
Cool.
just move a kick drum
Right.
mic.
I use an internal mic mount, and I have a kick drum mic mounted in my bass drum at all times. I'm playing
D112.
What's that?
Is it a D112?
No, it's just a PG like 52.
I,
It's
just,
like an old,
I
yeah.
feel like every time I meet a person that has a kick drum mic mounted, It's always a D112.
It just lives inside my bass drum, and I tell everyone, I was like, this is what you really need because of what you were just talking about, where the guitar player or the singer kicks the bass drum. Like, because sometimes I'll play at different places where I'm playing a house kit, and my singer just kicks that freaking kick drum mic all the time, and the sound guy has to run up and fuss with it. But you know, I always tell people, hey, well, check this thing out. It lives inside. Like, I have an acrylic drum too, so you could see it mounted in there, which I think is kind of rad looking. And I just love it, and I can't say enough at how important it is to have a hole cut in your bass drum. People ask me about that a lot, and they say, what's the advantages? Why do people do that? And I always tell people it's for multiple reasons, really. You know, to access your bass drum is just one of the reasons. Be able to get in there to muffle it if you need to. You know, instead of taking your head off,
adjust what you got to go on.
Adjust what's going on in there, or it allows the bass drum to breathe a little bit more. You know, there's a lot more air moving through that bass drum, so you get that going on, and also miking it. So it's very important to have a hole cut in your bass drum if you're playing out and gigging.
I guess
guys
it's
will
just
love you.
it's just kind of also like have the appropriate thing for whatever you're playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I like to have the options, but if it's a guy that has a jazz kit and he has no hole and he's like,
that's the sound.
that's the sound, man. All right, cool. Well, that's
the sound.
what we'll
It
rock
resonates.
tonight.
Like the kick drum is longer because it can't breathe.
Right.
So
That's the idea.
it's
The note
resonating like
sustains.
right. It's a sustained note, and if that's your artistic direction, then that's fine. That's not a sound guy's place to like say anything about.
Because you're not a
Not a producer.
You're not a
dude.
producer. No.
That is like the theme of
Not your
Hey,
producer.
do you want to? I did
That
learn
is such a
cool
good
thing,
point.
though,
Oh, here we go.
about
That's going to be the
Here we
title
go.
of the show, I think.
if you go to a gig and you have a head that does not have a hole in it, if you have $1 in your pocket, you can have the drummer hit the kick drum
Yes.
and then move the dollar around the head, and where it moves the most, the engineer should put the microphone there.
Hey,
That's where you get the most.
remember
Wait
that.
a
I
minute.
like that.
Wait a minute. That wouldn't just be the center of the drum.
No, absolutely not. No, the center of the drum's actually the worst and that's why you don't normally put kick ports in the center of the drum. It's like offset. There's like a whole tonality shift that's that's happening all around the drum kit. So if I took a microphone and put it on any drum and moved it around, like if it was the same height, the same distance, everything, but you moved it, it would sound completely different. Every position changes the sound.
I would say
wild.
with the dollar, scenario, the only downfall to that is more times than not the drummer's not going to have $1 on. So that's the only problem.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
Yeah, this is
at
before the
bar-
gig. This is after the gig.
Oh my god!
And even after the gig, those dollars don't last a long time.
All right, you know what? Ask the promoter for $1 so you can do sound check.
Can I borrow $1? So I want to get back a little bit to the front mic. We talked about internally and then positioning the outside mic. So these kick ports, these things, a kick port is a official like product, right?
Yes.
This is it's essentially a plastic cone that clamps itself onto that hole that you have cut in your bass drum. And what it does is it does this. It funnels the sound like this.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you're getting. So their old slogan, which they need to go back to, what's this? crap?
Obese. They refer
said,
to it obese.
Yes, kick ports make your bass drum sound obese. It was the
Oh.
best. I have a big sticker.
Yeah.
It was great. It's probably got
Apparently it's
canceled.
offensive.
Probably offended obese people. But the kick port idea of this thing is really to improve the sound acoustically in a room, But then once you involve miking things that changes stuff. Of course, this is shaping the sound. A normal hole cut in your bass drum is affecting the sound of the drum and the clarity of that. Of course, kick ports are modifying the sound that you're hearing coming out of the front.
Right.
That's the idea behind that. So when you're putting that front microphone in, obviously you want to make sure that stands out of the way so it doesn't get kicked over. But where do you position that? I know some
frequency diagram.
There
on
you
the
go.
back
There's
there.
the frequency.
Oh,
There's
wow.
the
Oh,
science.
nice.
There's
I've
the
never
science.
actually
Oh, I
looked at one
love
of
this
these.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He doesn't like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to read. He's like, just turn it on and let me hear it.
Yeah.
That sounds like me. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, but like
I'm like, let me
the
just
reason,
try one.
The reason that you like it is because of this.
So
And
so
he's
when
like, no,
you're-
I like it because it sounds good.
Right. When you're when you position that front microphone, I know some guys who are diehard if let's just use a Beta 52, like a Shure Beta 52. We got that classic grill in the front. Some guys are like, the whole grill needs to be inside the drum. Other guys are like, no, you want it to be like 6 inches away from the front head.
No.
Do you have any thoughts on specifically where that front mic is placed?
It really just depends.
Depends on the sound you want, because like he said, it's changes
How does
wherever
this-
you move it.
How does the sound change from like putting a drum just inside that threshold? to being
It's
outside?
called proximity effect, and it's
Okay.
what happens to a microphone. Some microphones.
As you get closer,
As you get
closer to a microphone, you get a lot
more
Yeah,
bass.
you see what I mean? You lose all your bass as you
Then
get
as I
farther
go
away.
back far away, now my voice is tending
Okay.
further away from it.
Bam.
Proximity effect.
So you can use proximity effect to your advantage. Like if you want a lot of low end out of your toms, out of your floor toms, you try to get your microphone as close as possible to like the head, but not too low,
Right.
not too low because you'll overload. There's like a sweet spot where you're
Got
like,
it.
oh, cool, I've like got this microphone working in tandem with this drum, and now it's producing the best possible outcome. You know,
Yeah.
it's a symbiotic relationship, like
Gotcha.
mic choice, mic placement,
Right. So as with most
getting down.
decisions you need to make with drumming and with sound stuff it's just you need to do it and try it and experiment and move things and listen. Use your ears is the biggest thing.
yeah.
Exactly.
You know, that's what it comes down to. Everyone wants a hard fast rule about everything. They're just like, well, here's what you do, and you always put it there. and
They
it's
don't like
exactly this in every
ambiguity. No.
drum. It's like no.
It just
it
depends
depends
on
on a
what the
lot of
band
different
is or
things.
like what room you're in. Like sometimes, like you're saying, you're in a room where like you don't mic the drums. You play
Right.
like a VFW or something, and like
Right.
they don't maybe want you mic
jazz
drums
club.
or jazz club, whatever it is.
Jazz
like,
guys don't really like microphones.
Yeah.
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 I've been
yeah.
to jazz shows and there's literally 2 overheads and that's it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Got jazz drummers get crazy when you walk up with a kick drum mic.
Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, whoa, 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 whoa." I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, I got you.
We have good stories. John Pfeiffer, who teaches here, he's an incredible jazz drummer. He plays with third stream still. Great jazz guy. I know you've run sound for a show at some point or whatever, but he has a really good story. We'll have to have him on again to tell it the full length version of it. But basically, he had a sound guy who had never done a jazz show before. It was very evident to him, and had all these close mics and stuff. And he said he just let it happen because he's a professional. And he's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're just I'll make it happen. And he said he's feathering the bass drum. The guy keeps turning his bass drum up. like we can't hear it loud enough. Like he wants that thud,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
rock and roll guy, right?
Yeah.
And he keeps doing that. And John said, fine. And he just feathered the bass drum, waited for the guy, waited to get the guy to turn it. Boom! Just hit it once, real loud.
Yeah.
And then they go, ah! You know, and then
Right.
and then it was adjusted accordingly. It was
that's
adjusted
funny.
accordingly. But there's so much of that knowledge of just like, what am I listening to, and
Yeah.
what is appropriate here
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. For
Psychology.
Sure, happening. Yeah. Yeah, big time. And the fans of that type of music will also expect that reinforcement to follow those,
Right.
those
Yes.
trends as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, people that are very knowledgeable on those genres and those like minor details about those genres are very quick to come up to you at front of house and say, "Oh, well, it's actually supposed
Right.
to sound like this."
Well, hang on,
Yeah.
because we have our next segment called Quick Question. We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
Like
At
information
that bottom.
Do you guys want your kickboard?
above the.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, kick for it. You
You
don't
guys
want
know
to take
what
it
those
and
are?
experiment.
I don't have a kick drum.
Actually, I do. Like,
You
I
might.
just don't have a drummer to experiment with. You
Hey.
know who I might call?
Hey, we're drummers.
One of
looking
the
to
guys-
experiment
one of
with.
the guys that drums
You
your
need a drummer to experiment
Yeah.
with. May I present to you, Shawn?
we got that mobile rig. We can bring
I'm
that-
not getting any responses on my Craigslist ad.
None.
Looking
No
for a
one's hitting
drummer
us
to
up.
experiment with.
Drummer to experiment. Probably got a bunch of weird
Oh
responses.
boy.
None at all.
Looking to travel back in
None at all.
time.
I guess all the drummers in the local area are very busy.
Exactly. Quick question. This segment, without fail, a customer comes into the shop. This is where the genesis of this came from, and says, "Oh, quick question for you." And inevitably, that's the rest of your afternoon. You know, it's never. Oh, just one more quick question. It's like, oh, we know, and we're totally down to answer and go through
Yeah,
the
of
whole
course.
thing. But a quick question prompted with the words "quick question" is never quick, right? We're shifting this again a little bit for you guys, and you kind of brought it up. The quick question's happening at the soundboard or wherever you happen to be at the venue. Hey, quick question, sound guy. Can you turn up the blank, 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 blank? Hey, sound guy, this doesn't sound good. This sounds weird. What's going on? Why does it sound like that? Badgering the sound man. What
do you want to know?
what I don't necessarily. I'd love to have a couple juicy stories, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is what's okay, what is not, as far as approaching a sound guy?
I
Do you
love
think that should
praise.
ever happen?
Praise is great.
Praise is great. Okay, if you have something good to say, it's like the golden rule, right?
You gotta just not give them something to complain about. You gotta just.
Oh yeah, damn. Brett came out swinging.
I mean,
Dang.
for real, like
Jeez.
for real, you gotta
He
just like do a
strong-armed
good
the
job.
podcast.
I
My
mean,
God.
no, I'm not like that, but like,
You're 100% right though.
yeah, like
If you have a good sound check and you're prepared and you've done all this
Yeah.
stuff that we've talked about, there's no reason for anybody to come up to you and say anything.
nah, like I mean, you gotta think like where a lot of these guys are coming from. Like if you're dealing with like touring acts and stuff, it's like a lot of times they live in a van. They're probably a little grumpy, but like
Sure.
they might have dealt with the bad sound guys at the past 3 or 4 stops,
right.
you know, and they're just tired and they've had it. And again, I'm not your producer. If you have like
True.
a weird thing where you're like, yo, we have a synth and in this song,
Right.
it rips.
Right. Well, how do you deal
At
with
least
it when
tell
it's an
me.
audience member, though?
Oh, I say, yeah, no problem. I got you. And that's when you have
Okay.
the imaginary
You
fader.
know,
It's
do
for
you
the
remember
audience
earlier
members.
when you asked me if I'd ever
Yeah.
moved a fader?
For the audience, yes.
Like not really. Yes,
Yeah.
I have. So I lied to you. I
Wow.
did do it,
Okay,
but it
not
was for
for
an
the band.
audience
If the
member.
band-
Band
ask for
member,
something.
crew member,
Right.
we got you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Audience member,
Artistic direction, I can't argue
no,
with
no,
that
no,
at
no.
all.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not their job.
Right.
Okay, so like
That sounds so harsh when I said it out loud.
No,
but, like,
say it.
no,
It's
for
true.
real.
when I first started running sound, because I'm a guitar player, I would always focus on the guitars.
Yeah.
So then I would go off to like my kick or my drum and bass relationship, and vocals always fell on the wayside, like just like the least of my worries. So I was getting a lot of people saying, "Hey, the vocals aren't loud enough." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I don't know what they're singing about." But recently,
Yeah.
I got the vocals are too loud.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, to be fair, they were singing in Spanish, and so I was like, I have to make sure that this is easy for people to hear if they're like bilingual or something like this.
Right.
And we just had a person with a disability who needed a translator,
Okay.
and so think about that. You have to dial the vocals because the
Yeah.
translator has to be able to do like
Clearly
sign
hear.
language or like
Right.
whatever they have to do for this person, like utmost importance to
Give
nail
them
that.
an in-ear feed.
Yeah,
That'd be sweet.
that. Man,
That'd be
look
the
at you
move.
just thinking outside. Don't say that on the podcast. Don't give other engineers the idea.
Help
need
the
to talk
people that
about
need
this in private.
translators.
That's a really good idea.
We'll edit that out. Don't worry.
No one watches our
No, that's a
podcast.
really
Keep
good
going.
idea. We do have these capabilities, though.
Yeah.
That's good.
Translator, give them their own ears.
Yeah.
Give them their own
Yeah.
ears. Shoot, you can give them their own mix, right?
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, like what I was saying about like
They could have
buying a
just
tablet
vocal.
and a router. You can set somebody up with their own mix on their cell phone. I
know.
I can bring up mixing software right now on my phone and show you what the majority of the engineers are doing. Just right here.
Yeah.
So like, there's no reason for us not to implement these things.
It's amazing how that technology has really creeped up over the past like 10 years. Like I remember first seeing it, and
Yeah.
the sound guy had like the board on his, iPad. I was
Yeah.
like, what? I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're used to the whole mixing board. Now it's all right
Yeah.
there, and he's walking around like, I'm like,
The
this is
mobility.
incredible.
It's awesome.
This is incredible. Yeah, this is great.
That'd be our Hall of Fame. The iPad rig for the console.
Right.
No joke.
Game
Yeah.
changer.
Totally.
Yeah.
For
Being
sure.
able to walk around a venue and take
Yeah.
in everybody's perspective and be able to dial your sound like that is amazing, because it's very rare that in our situation, it's very rare the front of house is in the position of like
The sweet spot.
The sweet spot. Yeah.
That's interesting because I'll go to shows and I'll be like, I want to be near the sound guy.
Well, you do.
He's
but
jammed
I
in a
guess
corner
If you
somewhere.
want to hear his
well,
perspective,
okay. I should say most shows where they're out front. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'd rather stand here than like at a random spot over here.
Yeah.
No, but you could talk. Okay, this would be a good one.
Yeah.
If you went up and asked your sound engineer, where should I stand?
Where's the best spot to stand? Did
They
you know
will
where
tell
the
you.
sweet spot in the room might be.
They know where all the sweet spots are because they go there to listen to a certain thing in the mix.
Wow. Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, I can really hear the vocals over here, or I can really get my kick and bass relationship in this corner. So if you love bass, go stand over there.
Right.
You know, get
Find
your
a
organs
corner or a
rattled
wall.
around.
Yeah.
Go sit in the corner. You'll love it.
Oh, you'll love it. There are people that do that. When I run sound for What Would Jerry Do, they have like people who love to stand in the corner and dance, and that's just a thing. And I've learned this because I would like go up to them and be like,
you don't want to stand there. And they're like, no, I do. I'm like, oh, you
They
do.
just need that rhythm section,
You love
man.
that. Yeah.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy. That's the ultimate question to ask the sound guy. Where's the best place to...
Where should I stand? Or
Where
where should I
should I
sit? Not front row.
Front row is always...
Front row.
That's a different...
That cracks me up.
If you go front row...
You're a legend.
You're going... Yes, you're
getting
you're a
monitor
legend.
mix.
Monitor mix. You're hearing the strings, and you're also like that. You're going there for the experience of
You just wanna
potentially
be
touching
Oh,
the artist.
your bass port is
Yeah.
like completely irrelevant in front row. They can't hear that.
Right. Oh,
So all this work that we've put into like sound checking and all this
Yeah.
stuff, those people can't hear that.
Right.
They're up there getting like this experience.
Yeah.
They're getting this guttural experience. They're getting like the I'm up here in
Yeah,
the front
they're
as
getting
close
spit
as I
on.
possibly
That's
could
what
be.
they're getting.
That's
You're
their
probably
experience.
standing against the
Audiophiles
subwoofer,
are
too.
not standing
Yeah, you're
up
right.
front. Yeah. No, yeah.
Which is probably wild. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No,
but
no.
I just thought of that. I couldn't stop it.
so when you guys go to a show, if you can pick anywhere, standing room.
I mean, we go
Where's
to
your
the
go-to
we go to
spot?
front of house because we want to look
I
at the console. and the
I go to front of
equipment.
house.
No
Like
doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can watch somebody work, I'm totally. I have a real hard time not working.
Right.
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
I can't even watch like movies.
Have you ever been
'cause I'm
to,
listening
um,
the movie?
Right.
Union Transfer
Yeah,
in Philly?
I was just gonna say
Transfer.
That's a cool spot because
Yep. I stand
I
there
think
every time.
the
Yep.
the best spot is right behind the sound guy.
Yeah.
Totally.
You're above everything. You have perfect view of the
stage.
The stage.
Close
And
to the bar.
You're close to the bar, right behind you, directly behind you.
Yep.
And then you can see the sound guy working.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've been to a couple of shows with a guy that is a sound guy, and we would do these Melvin's meetups. Part of this group that like we just go to Baltimore and see shows, go to Virginia Beach. I know it's crazy, and
Friggin'
and
deadhead
Union,
over here.
yeah, it's like the
Melhead.
Melvin's for yeah, it's deadheads for Melvin's, but
Buzzo head.
There you go.
he's a sound guy, and I watched him run sound. He's also a drummer, and I would watch him run sound at different places too. But he would like to park behind the sound guy and watch him at work
Yeah,
and see everything.
it's cool.
And tell me about all the things that just go over my head. But like afterwards,
Yeah.
because we'd be staying at the hotel afterwards or the Airbnb or wherever we are. He's like, yeah, they're talking about sound stuff. Like I understand what he's saying. I'm like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, we probably do the same thing. Like
Yeah.
if there's a venue with a balcony and I can look down and see a bird's eye view of the drummer, even though I know my sound up there is usually
Yeah.
total
That's
crap.
a tough one. Yeah.
It's like it's kind of fun to like watch what the drummer's doing, and it's
Right.
a different thing.
Yeah.
Did you see the Melvins when they played in Lancaster?
And tell us, yeah, I
Oh,
was there.
nice. That show would ruled.
Yeah,
I
that was awesome.
not familiar with the Melvins at all
I had just seen him
before that show.
July play in Bethlehem.
Oh, nice.
At that cafe rock, I forget what it's called up there. It's a
Yeah, I'm not sure.
very cool venue too. But they, of course, went on tour, and that was the. We would like to see him in different places. I've seen him at Pittsburgh. I've seen him in Baltimore, Philly, Virginia Beach, Washington D.C. Just as an excuse to kind of go somewhere different and meet up with these people too. Anyway. But then all of a sudden they
Yeah.
announced that second leg of their tour, and it was like Tellus. They're playing freaking Tellus, which I literally lived like
Wait a
right down
minute.
the street.
Did Brett
Oh,
play
yeah.
jazz before the show?
Probably,
That was out of my hands.
probably did.
Nah. Well, they bring a sound guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I mean, he might have played jazz. I don't remember, but
Gotcha.
I'm sure whatever
Sometimes-
whatever music they had where you saw them, they probably had the same music.
Sometimes they'll play like weird stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
they'll do sounds like
They like the
like
juxtaposition.
weird kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
one time they played the opening part to Black Sabbath, Sweet Leaf, the Coffin,
Yeah,
Oh, sick.
on repeat
that's amazing.
Oh, hang on.
for like 10
You
minutes.
said 6. Wait a minute.
For like 10 minutes before they came on. It's kind of funny.
That is
It
was
pretty-
just-
No, that's hilarious.
No,
it
but
was-
that goes
it was
back to
kinda
the
funny.
house music thing where, like, by the time that turns off, if they come right on
Yeah.
after that, people are
They
stoked
did.
to see that.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
They're like,
was
not
like,
only
"Thank
is that
God,
finally off,
you are
but
savior."
now the thing we're here for is on.
But when that's happening, the sound guy's like nowhere to be found. Like he's hiding.
He just
like,
ducks.
He's like, that's when you go, can you turn this off?
He's like down under the console.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I can't remember
Someone
the
did an edit of Nirvana's "Smells Like Teen Spirit," but when Dave comes in, it's a
Yeah.
it just that
Completely.
it just keeps going.
Exactly.
The song never
Dude.
comes in. It's just it just gets to there and just keeps going. It's very frustrating. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The new Post Malone country song with Morgan Wallen has
Yeah.
that same drum fill.
Oh, the Gap Band, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
sick.
now onto this. I thought
Did you
the
ever
same
see that
thing.
interview
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
Dave?
where he
with
talked
and
about
Pharrell?
where he got it from. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. Isn't he like talking to Pharrell or someone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And he's like,
And
yeah, it's from
Pharrell's
disco,
like,
dude.
what?
Dude, it's
Disco.
awesome. Yeah.
It's super cool.
Well, I just heard it in a pop country record, and I was like, there it is again. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Do you think they recorded the shells and cymbals separately, like Dave did, on the songs for the deaf?
Probably not.
Yeah. You ever done that before?
No.
Record
I-
shells and cymbals
I
separately.
haven't. I know people who have.
Like you
and
do the whole drum take,
Yeah.
just shells. And
Okay.
you do the whole drum
Yeah.
take, just cymbals.
That sounds weird.
I
No.
crank
It is.
that down.
Yeah, I cranked that down too.
Yeah.
I've never
But-
done that,
yeah.
but
How
that
about we
sounds
have a guitar
bad.
player do that, except we replace 3 of the strings with yarn. And then
No,
we'll
no,
do the
no.
other 3 strings.
You record the whole song, but one string at a time.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I had Jeff Lynne, ELO. He would just do
Did he do
hi-hats,
that?
and then he would just do snare. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
I get it from your perspective, or from mixing and mastering perspective, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that stuff you guys do, but
That's how
Yeah.
we got started. Actually, we started in the studio.
wait,
we went reverse order.
that's the next segment.
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh my god!
I was gonna say.
Perfect.
That's good.
I'll wait.
You're gonna wait for the transition. to
I'll
come
wait
back.
till the
Go ahead.
transition to just say what I was going to say about like I've never done like different recordings like just the snare, but one time I did record songs where it was just like the intro, then I would play the beat for the verse and just get that perfect, and I did it in sections that way. I've done that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right
you
on.
can totally do that.
yeah. It took a lot. It
Obviously
took
you did.
a lot longer than than
do that.
like I've done recording since then.
Yeah.
That was my first like real honest to God recording. It was still a home studio, but the guy like spared no expense and like
Spare
you know-
no expense. All right.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah.
Spare no
But
expense. Jeep
he
Wranglers.
that's the way he wanted to do it. That's the way he wanted to do the songs. He wanted to do it
Right
like,
on.
just get the chorus and then like the bridge down, and then he would take like I didn't need to do the chorus again because I did the chorus once it came around again. It was the first chorus again. That was for the call to arms. Like that's how we
Yeah.
recorded that. So it was perfect.
There you go.
And I'm not perfect, but I was perfect on that record.
Shawn is perfect. There's a first time for everything.
Power of modern technology.
Power of modern technology.
Yeah.
So we're kind of wrapping things up here a little bit, mainly because we can talk forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Keller Pro Audio is in house. We're excited to have you guys here. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
again
us.
for having
and
us.
indulging our drum talk a little bit.
Of course.
But before we go, we gotta always talk about your story. How Keller Pro Audio, the genesis of that, and how it builds. You touched a little bit on it throughout the segment. I keep interrupting you because I said, not yet. This isn't how it works. But yeah, if you guys would talk about kind of your backgrounds individually, and then the genesis of forming this company, right? And then kind of how you're developing, and then we'll eventually get to what you're doing right now. So, how'd you guys start in audio?
How did you guys meet?
This is his first gig.
We met because we were in college together, and he made we had an assignment. We had an assignment where we had to make a song or like a sound piece out of just noises, like out of like synthesized noises, like sine wave, triangle
Yeah,
wave,
you had to
saw
use like
wave.
white noise
White
and
noise,
stuff
pink
like
noise.
that, and create like instruments so they could have like pitches and rhythms and stuff.
Oh, okay.
He made something really far out because I went allegedly. I went up to him after class and was like, "How did you make that? Like, show me how you made that." And then he did.
Yeah.
And then I went over to his house and he had all these records. And like I grew up with like MySpace and like MTV and Fuel TV and Fuse and all this stuff. And I was like, "Why do you have all these records?" He was like, "Oh, I'll show you." And just starts showing me like how vinyl worked
Yeah.
and how to listen to records.
Yeah.
And showed me a whole nother avenue, like a whole world of music that I had never heard before. And I was like, "All right, you're pretty cool."
Yeah.
And we started hanging out.
Did you have your iPod? Wait for it. I think it was a classic.
It is a classic.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I know. I was like, what?
I
This
still
era, I'm
have
like,
it.
it's a classic.
I still
Okay,
have it. I
sick.
still have it. I use it actually
Big
for
old jog wheel.
at work, like when Spotify goes down.
He used to use it in his
I
car.
sniped that. How
Plug
about
it
that?
in.
It's right there.
I sniped the
It is.
classic
You don't have
out
to
of
worry
the air.
about worrying about
Yep.
the music in the clouds.
It
It's-
runs.
Yeah, it runs.
Yep. Now the
Worst case
playlist
scenario.
hasn't been updated since like 2011.
Oh, well.
but it definitely works.
Yeah.
Throwback.
In fact,
jams.
I've got music that you gave me.
Yeah, probably.
I have
That's
college
pretty funny.
projects on that iPod that I hope
That's
no
wild.
one ever hears.
Yeah, yeah, we met.
It'll
Yeah,
surface.
but yeah,
You get big enough, then people dig deep enough. That's
Oh,
what happens.
God.
Stuff comes
Can you
out,
extract?
right?
Can you
Oh,
extract data from a
man.
This is
classic?
what happens.
Oh man.
but yeah,
That's
we
bad.
kind of unexpectedly met in college in like Nashville,
Okay.
and then after school, we both lived there a couple years. He moved back to Ohio. I came back here, and I just had been like gigging around here,
Mhm.
and I had a lot of opportunities for gigs, and I couldn't do them all.
Yeah.
And I called him one time, and I was just like, "What are you doing in Ohio? Like, do you have gigs out there?"
Right.
I had just started getting into live sound. I had stuck with the recorded side of stuff and kind of gone that direction. And
Yeah.
he calls me. He's like, do you know how to do live sound? I'm like, coincidentally, yes. I've been
Yeah.
doing it for a couple months now. And he's like, I need your help. I can't.
Cool.
I don't have anybody that can do it like we were taught how to do it.
Mhm.
So like you'd be very valuable.
Yeah, I was like, if you can move out here, I could like give you a bunch of gigs pretty much.
Yeah.
Like right as soon as you get here.
Yeah.
All right, you want to hear something really cool?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We were in college, and he was gonna not have a place to live. He was like, he came to me and he was like, "Hey, I gotta move home to Pennsylvania. Like it's like kind of last minute."
I had been at college like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we
What?
seriously.
I'd been, like,
What?
at
No,
college.
You're
seriously.
already moving back.
Yeah.
You're already
The-
throwing in
just
the
got
towel.
there.
Student housing was like, "Hey, you can't live here. Like you got to move out." And he's like, "I
Yeah.
can't live on my own. I don't have enough money."
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, dude, I have a single bedroom apartment with a dining room in it,
Yep.
and I don't have a dining room table. You can just move in to my
Perfect.
apartment." And so
Yeah.
we lived together in a 1-bedroom apartment for like a year, like maybe longer. And so then when he calls me years later
Yeah.
and he's like, "Hey, can you move out here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I need a place to live." He's like, "Oh, you can live in my office."
I was like, I got an
You
You
office
can live
you
in my
in.
dining
He
room.
was like, "I'll
I was
give you
like,
30
gotcha.
days." He's like, "Now, Grandy," he's like, since we've known each other,
Yeah.
like I have a
Yeah.
baby and a wife
Right.
and a
Right.
house.
Right.
I don't live in a dining room anymore."
I was like, but she okayed 30 days.
30 days. I was gone. I was gone in 10.
Yeah.
I
Out right away.
landed and like got a job and like
Yeah.
got a place to live and moved out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And so that's kind of like how this all started. It was just sort of like,
Man, I would have pushed that till the day.
I
I would have got an extension on
No
that.
way,
Like,
dude.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
we're
teasing.
talking business days, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Business days. That's what you said exactly.
Yeah.
Weekends don't count.
Right.
I mowed the lawn on the weekend.
Holidays,
That should
yeah.
count for something.
I got the trampoline out back. Come on.
Come on,
Brett
I just stocked the fridge.
Brett was not lying either about
Yeah.
being busy. 'Cause I haven't had another job. Engineering's been my full-time job for almost
Yeah.
2 years now.
That's
like
awesome.
That's
Dude, that is
wild.
Incredible. I know.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
To the point that I'm like, no, I can't work that gig because I'm like booked already. And he's saying it to like multiple people, and I feel bad because like a lot of these people they're not just clients, like they're my friends,
yeah.
and I don't want their show to suffer. And so I try to recommend people that I really trust
Mhm.
because it like affects my relationship with that person,
Oh, of course, yeah.
you know, and yeah, I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm not going to speak for Brett, but I very much
No,
enjoy
for
my
sure.
No,
job.
Brett, he doesn't take it seriously at all. He's like,
No, he does not. I've been meaning to
yeah.
talk to him
This
about
is just
it.
a stepping stone for him. He's gonna get into.
When
Like, he's trying to save up for beauty school or something.
When I showed up at his house for a ride over here, I was
got a
like,
pop
I was
record
like,
I'm
"Why aren't you
dropping."
wearing your Keller Pro audio T-shirt?" He's like, "Oh no, that would be really lame if we matched."
Yeah. I knew you would.
Yeah,
I knew you'd
know.
wear it. And I was
honestly
like,
thought about wearing my
nah.
drums, etc. shirt, and I was like, I'm
And
not
I knew
gonna
that'd
do
be your
that.
second choice, so I
How
didn't
did
do
you
that
know
either.
that?
He knows him so well.
Yeah,
dude,
dude,
that's
it's bad.
It's been years.
It's like us.
It's bad.
It's been years, dude.
We're
That's it.
finishing
Yeah,
each
it's been a
other's
long time.
sentences. You guys are doing the same thing.
Sentences.
Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Sentences.
We're finishing each other's.
Sentences.
Paragraphs.
No,
Yeah.
I've had both of you guys run sound for me personally, and you guys
Oh,
are
it's awesome.
Thank
top
you.
notch,
Are
phenomenal.
you kidding me?
I
That's-
appreciate it
And,
very much.
it went
Thank you.
a couple weeks ago when
Yeah.
you ran sound at Phantom Power, and like
I had a
you were-
blast doing
Yeah,
that.
you were like, "Oh shit!" And you had just come in.
I had just come in to buy the
and you
LP
got that
claws.
T-shirt. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sound guy's on my side now." Like,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna be a breeze.
Yeah.
And
No,
that happens a lot too. It's weird because of the situation, just knowing the different musicians. But I go out with my band and like I just know all these people that they start coming up to me like, "Oh, Shawn," like, "Oh," and they're all looking at me like, well, "Shit, of course he knows the sound guy." It's like,
Yeah. of
Yeah, I heard the
course.
same thing, and then they're disappointed when they see me play. They're like, "He should be better. He should be. He should be. He should be I don't know.
People always ask me, they're like, "You in a band?" I'm like, "No." They're always surprised by
I
that.
don't have
They're like,
time.
"Really?"
Yeah, can you
Are
imagine?
you kidding me? This is
Like-
where we bring out. Let's listen to
You are
Budget
the
Wax.
band.
Oh no.
Oh,
Let's bring
yo.
out this next clip. Goes out to you, Budget Wax.
No.
No, we don't.
There's
We need to get
there's
that, but-
projects way
Oh.
deeper than that that we
There's-
could
yeah.
we could dig up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing when you guys like created the whole page, like the Instagram page
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is sick. This is awesome. I'm
Dude.
like, it's about time. That's sweet, man. Because
That's
I knew,
cool.
I was like, Brett's probably out here just working for like a venue or something or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, but he's become like the guy. Like, like before I met you, before you came
That's
out,
wild.
like I just remembered that being just like, okay, if there's a big show happening in town, Brett's probably gonna be there, and you're there. You know, so
Thank you.
it's
I
awesome.
appreciate it.
No, it's just a fact. It's great, and like you just start to develop a reputation. Shawn and I develop a very bad reputation, but
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so this is goodwill. We're really trying to just amp it up. No, but you start to develop a reputation, and that just builds and builds and builds. So it's awesome to hear you guys are doing well right now, and you've got enough jobs that you can turn things away, let alone, you know.
Yeah,
it's
but
cool.
we don't.
So,
We definitely don't want to. I
so
mean,
No,
Brett,
yeah,
of
it's
course.
like it'd be awesome to be able to do all of them. It's just
Yeah.
everybody wants to play on Friday, Saturday.
Oh yeah, I know. You're like, where are those Tuesday night gigs?
That's what I'm saying. Like, where's
Um,
a Tuesday night?
We
or
need to bring
something?
those back.
Yeah, I could do like a Tuesday.
night. Tuesday night. Yeah.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays,
Um,
I got you.
But I'm sure you have. Then you need to call in reinforcements. Who else do you guys go to school with? You gotta give that guy a buzz and be like, "What are you doing? Come live in my adjacent room that I'm not using all the time."
honestly, we had a moment where he was like, "Isn't it weird that you and I could hire our professors from college because they're
Yeah.
still doing sound,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
like
yeah, we should give him a move up here too.
we could hire them to like do gigs."
Be
Like,
dude,
it's like,
come back
whoa,
here.
this is wild. And we've reached out to some of those people, and they're like, "You guys are still friends."
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All these years, yeah.
That's cool.
Still
That's
friends.
cool. So I have a question that I'm just semi-selfishly curious about, just because of what you guys do in the nature, you guys getting hired for gigs and everything, and we don't have to get too crazy into the business side of it, but that's where my mind goes. So you're working for all these different venues. Are they reaching out to you independently, or are you guys just, oh, we did one show and then that leads to the next show, the next show, the next show? It kind of just, pardon my use of this term, but daisy chains together.
It does. I mean, if you do a good job, and you say yes to stuff.
Right. And then it's the recommend
Yeah.
that gets you the next to the
But
next.
we definitely don't like try to take jobs from people. Like we
No,
don't
of
we
course
don't
not.
reach out to
No.
people and like, hey, give us that gig. It's, no. It's very like they will ask you if
Mhm.
they need you.
Right.
You know.
Right. Very cool.
But yeah, it's on an individual basis. I just started working at Phantom Power full time,
Okay.
so
Cool.
I will be there for the majority of the shows there, and then I'll fill in where all the other venues that I can in the
Mhm.
meantime.
And I've been full time at Tellus since 2016. I've been
Yeah.
working there. I was like a bar back, and then eventually just
Yeah.
worked my way into this. But so I stay pretty busy there as well. But if I can take stuff out on the side, I do. A lot of times at like West Art, they have gigs. They'll call us.
Mm-hmm.
I think what happens with us a lot of times too is that just like if he's called for something and can't do it, he'll just call me. And the
Right.
same as like if I get called for something I can't do, I'll just call
Right.
him
You're
anyway.
the number one on my recommendation list.
and you're
That's
my number
good.
one.
That would make sense.
Nice.
That
And
would make sense.
Yeah, I think we know this. So I think it
I
naturally
didn't-
we're
you've
like,
never
why don't we just
actually
make
said
a
So I was
Wow.
curious.
Well, that's the daily double.
Settled
We hit it.
there we go.
That was the point of this whole thing. All
Yeah.
these lights. We're not even recording.
Yeah.
It's just that was
He
it.
just
Therapy.
needed you.
So you-
he wanted to hear you say it.
You
That's
can
it.
just wire that money directly to the shop.
Not
or
a
to
problem.
Me personally.
Not a
whatever you
problem.
wanna
You're all
do.
I have
welcome.
cash.
Perfect.
Even better.
It's for that kick drum trick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Trying to- it's already spent. It's already gone. Can you talk just briefly about kind of like, even though you're obviously hired and you're doing this, the benefits of establishing yourselves kind of professionally as a company. What have you guys noticed about that process? Because that's definitely a different thing. There's a lot of DIY in this industry, whether it's a musician getting paid on the side under the table, or it's a sound guy doing a favor for someone, or this or that. What do you guys? What value do you guys put in the business section of it? Meaning, like, this is an official like thing. Like the presentation of it's really well done. I think. What do you guys think about that?
I
Like
think
the
that's very
entity?
nice of you to say.
Yeah, thank you. That's shout out to my wife, Stephanie. She's
Okay,
like
is she the one who's just like, we need to make this like a box that we can show people?
she's a graphic web designer.
Oh shoot. Okay.
So she helps us out with like the logos and all kinds of stuff. She's awesome.
She's the fifth Beatle.
Yeah,
Nice.
she definitely is like hooks us up a lot with a lot of that, like the look of things and logos.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh no, you can't have that link go there. You have to have it like this." Like that's what she does. And
Yeah.
we're like, "Pff,
She
You
backs
know.
it up too.
Yeah,
She'll
she
show you.
does.
She's like, "This is why it's better,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "That's undeniable."
yeah."
You can't argue with that.
So like she's a lot of credit for the look of all of it, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, people take you really serious when you have a shirt.
Dude.
I've
They
noticed
do.
that.
Swear.
People
really-
are like,
it's
"Oh, you
super
work for Keller Pro Audio." I'm like, "Sure do."
Sure do.
Yeah.
Brent,
Yeah.
Smith.
They're like, "What do you do there?" I'm like, "Owner."
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
you know, but it's like it's I don't
Owner,
know.
operator, president.
It's a
CEO.
nice like
there are
it's a
people
nice
back
way to
home
like
that don't believe me.
dude.
I'm being dead serious. There are people in Ohio that I
Yeah.
know that are like,
No
"You own
way.
a business." I'm
It's
like, "Yep."
not like
They're
I
like,
don't
"You
know.
employ people." I'm like, "Mm-hmm."
It sounds crazier
They're
than
like, "What?"
it
You,
is.
Zach.
Perception's everything.
Yeah.
Perception's everything.
Well, it's like a weird thing where like we don't. It's not like you guys were like you need inventory.
Right.
Like we're selling a service.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't have to like house. We have our gear, like our
Yeah.
mics and things, but a lot of places we work have everything.
Right.
So like we're pretty fortunate in that like
We're selling ourselves.
yeah, and
We're personality hire.
it's a nice like
That's why you're here.
from like a business side, like you're saying, just having an LLC is like you know, you can write your mileage off and things like
Yeah,
that. It's like a
yeah.
nice
It's a preparation
yeah.
for like where you want to be.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a
We carry ourselves
manifesting.
in like in a professional manner because we want to be professionals.
You prepare for the gig that you want.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's it. So speaking of the future, do you guys have any specific plans or any goals that you've kind of like set for yourself to like grow? Like in your ideal world, does this Brett? Do you call another friend and it grows like locally, like but with just more shows, or do you think would you take this on the road and like, oh yeah, I got that call, I'm doing that gig in Florida, fly down there to do it? You know, what is your idea of the growth of the business and what does that look like?
I would like to do some travel dates. I'm not necessarily into like traveling for long periods of time
Sure.
with the family at home and all that, but it'd be cool for bands I've worked with through the years to know that when they're in the Northeast region, if they're like, hey, we got 3 dates, it's in Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, you want to come out for 3 or 4 days, it'd be great to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It'd also be good to get into more like video stuff, like recording performances. I get a lot of like I record a lot of shows at Tellus to like
Right.
listen back to and just practice mixing, and it'd be cool to have like video stuff, you know, social media and things.
Yeah.
But
it all helps. Yeah.
yeah, it all helps and it's fun. It's something different to do. To like mixing live is like you only get one chance at it. If you missed the guitar solo, you missed the
Right.
guitar solo.
Right.
It's nice to like be able to go back for once. You know,
I've always liked that, you know, coming from a show and like we would a band I was in, you know, the guitar player always wanted like to get a digital copy of to listen back.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed that. And I have a few of those live performances, and it's such a learning tool. And yeah, that's totally
Yeah.
key, man.
I have never. I don't know if I've ever actually told somebody that I'm recording. I just do it. Even like record, like they were told us that, and they taught us that in school. And I remember one project in particular. It was Ryan Barnett. We were in studio with Ryan Barnett, and he was laying down a mean guitar solo,
yeah.
but it was a sound check. It was like we were making sure that his headphone mix was ready, and like we
Yeah.
had the guitar amp mic'd correctly, and like all
Sure.
these factors. And he laid down one of the nastiest guitar solos we'd ever recorded. And he goes, "Please tell me you had that recorded." And I was like, "No, it was Soundcheck."
Yeah.
And
Right.
and ever since then, we were just like, lesson learned.
Yeah.
You have to
record.
record it.
Yeah. As soon as you're
Yeah.
there, as soon as you've got mics in the room, you're just
Turn it on.
yeah.
We're not in the days of tape. It's not.
Did you record
Expensive, you know?
our performance?
Legally, no, I didn't. I can't
Okay.
record that
I
set.
cannot
Oh,
comment.
because it's all like cover
songs.
songs. Rats.
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
record it for you if you just wanted to listen back, which I like you were saying. It's
Yeah,
a good
that's
tool
it.
to
I wouldn't
have.
put it out there
That's a
for
great
anyone. Yeah.
learning tool to give
Absolutely.
somebody and be like, here.
Yeah.
You like you because you're in the moment. You're not going to remember what
Absolutely.
your show's like, and
Right.
you might hear a cell phone mix or something like that. You're
Yeah.
hearing the front of house mix, but now you've got a multi-track off the
Love it.
board with no processing, just off your preamps. You can take it home, throw it in your DAW of choice, and have fun with it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing rawer than like a live recording. It's so, you get so much cool syncopation and like originality out of it on some of these songs.
Yeah.
You know, that you'll get in the studio, but imagine nailing a take in 3.5 minutes on a song
With that energy. That
then
live
like
energy.
with the live energy. Instead, like you just wasted all this money in the studio with a guy who wanted to like run your guitar amp through a pickle. And it's like, cool, thank you for wasting my fucking day rate. Or sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but it's like, thank you for ruining my day by wasting all this money on something we're not going to use.
Right.
When instead, this dude just nailed it.
Yep.
Like we recorded 8 to 10 songs at a show, and now we could potentially make more money off of that because now we can take this recording and show it to people. Like this is what we're capable of.
Right.
This is what we bring, and this is why you should pay us.
Yeah. No, it's important. Well, you guys are out here doing an awesome job. Like, for real. Like, we hear about different shows and how it went, and one of the first things that's brought up between musicians, especially drummers, is, like, the sound and the monitoring.
Nice.
Like, that's, like, that even comes up before, like, if there was even a house kit. Like, oh, how'd the gig go? Be like, one of the first things out of people's mouths is like, yeah, I couldn't hear too well, or like, yeah, it felt really good because we had like a good mix going on, and like the band, like it's just thrown in there. It's so important. It's so important to do that. Awesome. Don't want to hold you guys up all night, but real quick, you guys can have the last fill. If you have any questions for us from our perspective of running a drum shop, feel free to plug them in here now. If you got anything, feel free to throw it at us. If not, totally cool. It's just a little thing we started to add. But then we can close out the show.
Or
as drummers, if you have beef with drummers, lay it on us.
I
We're
mean,
drummers.
Or love.
Don't get me wrong,
Or love.
Or love. Yeah, love's always good. That's
I have
what
a
you
lot of
said.
complaints. You know something I would like to see more out of drummers is hot sticks.
Okay.
There are so many instances where, like, I don't want to force you to play softer because I know that that's your artistic direction.
Yeah.
This is the way you want to perform this
Yeah.
song. But what would be nice is to achieve a lower overall volume while also getting that performance. Hot sticks would be such a nice addition to any drummer's like travel pack. Just when because when they get in a room and they're like, "Oh man, I'm loud."
Yeah.
They just go. They have them ready.
And they can feel it, you know.
They'll know.
For sure.
Yeah. As soon as you play in a loud room, you're like, "This is not."
Yeah, that's
appropriate
always a
now.
recommend for anyone's stick bag that comes in the shop.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, get some of this, get some of this, get some of this. I think every drummer needs brushes in their stick bag, but like some like ProMark hot rods or whatever.
It's funny that you say that because Saturday we played at Gift Horse Brewery, and to do a little warm up just to kind of feel comfortable, I was playing with rods because I didn't want to just bash while everyone's still trying to set up. But you have to like play your set to everything's good to go. But I pulled the rods out because there's a lot of people walking around, and like know when you're playing Phantom Power before everyone's there, that's fine. You can wail and you can do know, but everyone's kind of still getting things going. You didn't want to just wail. I pulled out the hot rods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You read the room.
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like an engineer can play around with an artist psychologically, but you can also play with the engineer by doing stuff like that. Change your beater type or like use a different stick, like put something on, like I don't know, use the T-towel technique. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tailor your drums for that thing, and then the engineer will just have to live with that. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. It's better than a drum shield.
Oh wow!
Thank God you said
should have been dude, that should have been
Thank
the
God you
first
said
crank it
that.
up, turn it down.
Dude,
Oh my
drum
God.
shields.
Clear baffles are cool. Drum shields are not.
Can we have to get it just real briefly. Real briefly.
Absolutely.
Why do drum shields suck?
They're heavy.
They're heavy.
They're heavy as hell.
I think the lighting looks terrible.
They're
for them.
ugly.
They're ugly.
What about sonically the reflections?
Oh, awful.
Also, there's always fingerprints on them and smudges.
Oh, yeah.
That was the
My
big
reasons are
craze
really
is not there.
small.
about 15 years ago. Everyone wanted a sound shield.
And
Everyone.
still every church just about except
No,
the ones that I've talked to.
they should
has
get
them.
clear baffles. Clear baffles are these like
Just
they're the
symbol
size of a
ones?
cymbal.
Yeah.
They're plexiglass, and you mount it to drum hardware, and you position it in front of the thing in question. If you're
Yes.
getting too much hi hat, if you're getting too much crash, ride, whatever, you position it there, and then into the microphone that is getting all this offensive stuff.
Good advice.
They look good, they sound good, and
They're effective.
They're very effective.
They don't
they're
weigh
not
as much as
cause-
a sound shield.
Like I just
And
saw
they're not
30.
causing more problems than they're solving.
No, I just saw 30 Seconds to Mars is touring with them, and they love them. Who am I to say that? No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like, no, it's a tool. Like, try it. You might surprise yourself.
Yeah.
And your engineer, and your lead vocalist, and anybody else. Like in the
Yeah.
front row,
Yeah.
you're not taking everybody's heads off, but you're also not inside of a gerbil ball.
Right. Right. I love that. That's a good gerbil
You, feel like-
ball.
you look like Bubble Boy up there with your drum riser and your plexiglass.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's dumb. We've tried to convince a lot of people of different things over the years, but
Turn it.
it's
turn it
it's
down,
rough.
dude.
Every church I go into, I have that
Yo, pull the
conversation.
plug on.
Pull the
Yeah,
plug,
pull the
baby.
plug. Plug on those
it.
things.
Drum
Yeah, get them
shield.
out
Yeah.
of here.
It's over. The dream is over.
It's
Kick
over.
it
You
over.
heard
Knock it
here.
off.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard
What's worse than the drum shield is the whole enclosure.
Yeah.
You know, they enclose
I've
the
not
drummer into
encountered
it.
that
It's
yet.
the roof and the gutters.
Oh my
and
gosh,
The door.
horrible.
Brett, the drums sound a little boxy.
Because you're in a box.
Artistic choice.
That's great.
Who am I to say?
Who am I to
No, you're a guy who has
I'm
a
not your
better
producer.
opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there's the ding. All right, we better stop this before we start really making people mad. Hey, thanks for joining us here at Drum Key, everyone. If you want to contribute to the show, you know what to do. All the stuff. I'm not saying it. I'm not that guy. Support your local drum shop. That's the big thing. Support your local drum shop. If you don't have one, we'd be happy to adopt you. We would be happy to adopt you. Thank you, Keller Pro Audio, for being here. Shawn, as always, thank you for being here, even if you're
You're welcome.
a little bit closer than I would
You're
prefer.
welcome.
We'll see y'all next time.